Hello and welcome to News Centre. I'm Parikshit Luthra. After 27 years on the fringes, the BJP is back in the driver's seat in Delhi. And the party's top leadership has chosen Rekha Gupta as the Chief Minister, a first-time MLA who shares strong ties with the RSS and has a background in the party's student wing, the ABVP. Gupta is the Union Territory's fourth woman Chief Minister. She took oath as Delhi's Ramlila Maidan today. She is currently the only woman Chief Minister from the BJP fold. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, NDA Chief Ministers and top BJP leaders were present at the oath-taking ceremony. 6 cabinet ministers, including Parvesh Verma, who beat Aam Aadmi Party Chief Arvind Kejriwal from the New Delhi constituency, also took oath today. The other ministers include veteran BJP leader Ashish Sood and Kapil Mishra, who was expelled by the Aam Aadmi Party in 2017.
पहली कैबिनेट का एजेंडा हम लोग आज मिलकर तय करेंगे। आज पहली कैबिनेट होगी, सब हमारे विधायकगण वहाँ, हमारी कैबिनेट वहाँ रहेगी और आगे का लेआउट प्लान उसी के लिए अकॉर्डिंगली तय किया। हमेशा वो भ्रष्टाचार की बात करते थे, तो क्या आपको लगता है कि दिल्ली सरकार साफ और क्लीन रही है और या फाइलें खुलेंगी उनकी आपके कार्यकाल में? एक एक पैसे का हिसाब देना पड़ेगा जनता का और निश्चित रूप में जो काम जो भ्रष्टाचार पीछे हुआ है वो उजागर होगा।
The BJP has made several promises to Delhi and especially to women. Shivani Bazaz is here with more on the promises.
Well, yes, big promises for women in Delhi as the new BJP government takes charge. Chief Minister Rekha Gupta has assured that the first installment of the 2,500 monthly aid for women from poor families will hit their bank accounts by March 8 on the International Women's Day. Now, beyond this, the BJP's manifesto has laid several other women-focused schemes. For example, the 21,000 grant plus 6 nutritional kits for the pregnant women, 5,000 rupees for the first child, 6,000 rupees for the second, gas cylinders at 500 rupees plus 1 free refill on Holi and Diwali, 250 pink toilets with sanitary pad vending machines and feeding rooms, a woman-only police battalion for safety. Now, 6 months paid maternity leave for domestic workers is also on the manifesto. But while all of this sounds promising on paper, the practical challenges are plenty. Key questions remain. Who qualifies as poor enough to receive the 2,500 monthly grant? While what will be the eligibility criteria? The 6 months paid maternity leave for domestic workers is a progressive promise, but how will the government ensure that helps are actually getting this leave without losing their jobs? In households where replacements are hard to find, how long can domestic workers realistically stay away from work? So while the intent is clear and the promises are big, it's the delivery on ground and the fine print that will determine the success of these schemes and success of the BJP's new government after 27 years. Back to you.
We're joined by A.K. Bhattacharya, Editorial Director at the Business Standard, Sandeep Shastri, National Coordinator at Lokniti Network, and Senior Journalist Sanjeev Srivastava. Let me go across to Mr. Sandeep Shastri first. Mr. Shastri, having a woman Chief Minister, of course, very welcome. It is a continuation, so to say. But how does Rekha Gupta help the BJP politically?
Many of us have been saying from the day that the BJP won the Delhi election that their Chief Minister candidate will definitely be a surprise candidate, like has always been in the last 10 years, save in 1 or 2 cases. Now, Rekha Gupta was never spoken about by any party. Her name was not there in any media house. And this is the typical element of surprise that the BJP brings in. But once you look at her record, she has been an active member of the BJP. She comes from the frontal organizations. She was the secretary and the president of the Delhi University Students' Union. So she has a very strong grounding in the ideology and philosophy linked to the BJP. And though she's a first-time MLA, I think the work she has done with the party and its frontal organizations over the years is something which will stand her in good stead. And in important ways, if you look at the statements she has made, she clearly indicates that the agenda which the party has put forward.
All right, we will return to Mr. Shastri in just a bit, but let me get in Mr. A.K. Bhattacharya as well. Mr. Bhattacharya, how do you think the BJP government in Delhi will do in terms of funding these schemes, especially the women-centric schemes? They are promising 2,500 per women. Now, this criteria is yet to be established, but this is going to cost the exchequer significantly. In fact, some estimates say that the subsidy bill will go up nearly 30%. What's your take on how the finances will be managed?
Well, thank you for having me here. I have been worrying about Delhi government's finances for the last 3 years. Delhi government was one of those rich governments. But for the last 3 years, Delhi government has been in kind of a deficit situation, which was never the case, at least in the last many, many years. Now, with this kind of a promise that you talked about, which is 2,500 rupees for every adult woman, that is what the poll promise was. Now, adult population of Delhi's adult woman is total number of people, women who live in Delhi and are voters here, probably would be around 10 million. This is the last estimate that I had seen. And out of which 18 years and above is around 6.5 million. Now, if you do a simple calculation of 6.5 million getting 2,500 per month, the total bill, annual bill, comes to around 19,500 crore, which is around 25% of your current Delhi government's expenditure of 76,000 crore. So can you imagine what havoc it will create for Delhi government's finances at a time when Delhi, being a union territory, does not have access to the revenues that are devolved under the Finance Commission grant? Unless the 16th Finance Commission makes a change, says that the union territory with the Legislative Assembly will also have access to the devolution of central taxes, I don't see any way how the BJP government, my good wishes to the government, but how will they manage to get the 19,500 crore extra money and finance their major scheme? So Delhi government will actually is already in a fiscal deficit of around 0.7% for the last 2 years or 3 years, and I'm sure it will go into deeper red. And what will suffer is Delhi government's excellent track record in terms of expenditure on education and health. Remember that in education, Delhi government spends almost around 24% of its money on education, almost 14% of its money is going for health. Now, this is much higher than the national standards. So if you are giving 19,500 crore for this one scheme alone, then where will the money from health and education, forget about roads and bridges, which Delhi does not spend much, unfortunately, will happen? So as a Delhiite, I feel sorry about the Delhi government's the deep financial crisis, the financial challenges it will face if it were to fulfill its poll promises.
Right, that's an important point. 19,500 crore on just one scheme. Where will the money for other schemes really come from? Sanjeev Srivastava, to get you in. Today, when she was speaking to our sister channel News 18, Rekha Gupta said that she will make sure that the 5 priorities they listed out in their manifesto, which includes Ayushman Bharat medical insurance scheme, cleaning of the Yamuna, desilting of roads, large-scale sanitation efforts, and the 2,500 rupees per woman scheme, all of that is implemented. What are the major challenges that you see in the implementation of these poll promises in the next 100 days, apart from the fiscal cost of the women-centric schemes, of course?
Well, I think AKB has just elaborated upon the fiscal cost and the challenges the government will face in the coming months, weeks, years, and that will be fairly formidable. So I would like to repeat what he said. I will be in broad agreement or complete agreement with the fiscal challenge part of it. The only question which I have, which I don't know the answer, is that when he says, or when we calculate 6.5 million as the women above 18, will this scheme, because she said, the new chief minister said something about the criteria of who will get it. So will all of them get it, or will there be some criteria now? I really don't know. Maybe the BJP will try and find a way out of that, but that's for them. I would like to comment, with your permission, Parikshit, on the political side of it. Rekha Gupta, like Professor Shastri was saying, that another surprise candidate. So another surprise candidate, yes, there is another first-time MLA Bhajan Lal, who's the Chief Minister of Rajasthan, and now you're a first-time MLA in Delhi. But I don't know whether it was such a big surprise because people were talking about that who can... See, Delhi was a very peculiar case since they were out of power for 26, 27 years. There was no overarching, big, formidable face of a leader. So there were about half a dozen odd candidates for the CM's post, including Pravesh Verma, Sirsa, who is seen as a Sikh and a strongman, big leader coming from Akali Dal and considered very close to Union Home Minister. And Pravesh Verma, of course, Jat, son of former Chief Minister, Kapil himself, who was a firebrand leader in his own right. Ashish Sood also has become a minister. And Rekha Gupta was also being talked about, and so was Bansuri Swaraj because of pre-degree. So, but I think what the BJP has really done, if you look at their PM spaces, so you have a Thakur in UP, you have two OBCs, one in Haryana, and you can always count Yogi also as an OBC. You have two Brahmins, Fadnavis in Maharashtra and Bhajan Lal in Rajasthan. So I think when they did not have somebody who automatically walks into that post of CM or a formidable challenger. So they were just, people were cancelling each other out more than walking themselves in to the post. So I think the women was the missing link. That no woman was there in the BJP's galaxy of chief minister. And like Professor Shastri was saying, that she fits the bill in terms of since 1990, she was an ABVP, the student wing of BJP, and an active worker. And first time MLA, well, the BJP is used to anointing and appointing them.
Okay, let me go back to Sandeep Shastri. Sandeep Shastri, Rekha Gupta taking oath as Delhi Chief Minister with 6 ministers. Do you get a sense that with the initial swearing in of ministers, the BJP has tried to represent all communities who voted for them in this election? And why do you think Pravesh Verma was not made the Chief Minister?
Yes, the cabinet is representative of the Rainbow Coalition that the BJP has tried to build up and on the basis of which it won the election. I think the BJP's calculations clearly was that a more senior and older member of the party needs to be given the responsibility of chief ministership and, of course, a woman leader. And therefore, Pravesh Verma has been brought in as the second in command within the administration. And I'm sure he's been told to bide his time for the future. So that is, I think, a power arrangement they have come up with. Going back to an earlier question, I mean, the payments which the BJP has promised for women, you said it at the start of your program, it was defined for the poor. And I think the BJP would work out who the poor are. And the quantum of expenditure which was referred to earlier would not be what is actually spent once you define who are the poor. And our own survey showed that poor around 1/5 of the women voters above the age of 18 in Delhi, and therefore it's only 1/5 of the amount which was referred to, which actually could be set aside for that scheme. So there are various, while a scheme has been announced, a promise has been made, I think it will depend on the fine print which now comes out as part of the government orders.
All right. So you're saying that the government will not exceed the fiscal deficit target as well, and they will maintain tight financial management as well. But let me go back to Mr. Bhattacharya. Mr. Bhattacharya, the financial aspect aside, what's going to be the challenge in terms of performance going forward? What do you think this new government, the Rekha Gupta government in Delhi, will be judged over the next 6 to 7 months after the Aam Aadmi Party rule?
Well, I think 2 points I would like to make, and I would like to remind my esteemed fellow panelists that the electoral promise that was made did not talk about the poor. Electoral promise talked about all women. So I think if the government will be within its rights to redefine who will be the beneficiaries of this new scheme. But my sense is that this will be a bit of a disappointment then for many women, and how do you define that? So that's the administration and governance challenge. Quite apart from that, I think the real challenge, and even if you take 20% of the people, women of 6.5 million, the cost will be around 4,000 crore. So now for a government which is already in deficit, you are essentially adding 4,000 crore on a budget of 76,000 crore. This is a lot of money. So it's a almost like 6 to 7% extra expenditure. So therefore, I think it will be a fiscal challenge, whatever may be the nature and the quantum of benefits that are distributed. For the challenge part, what I do believe is this, that the Delhi government has not done well in the last several years in terms of improving the basic amenities and the development needs of a city. Remember, Delhi is one of the rich cities in this country. Now, whether the per capita income is almost more than 4 lakh rupees. Now, in a city where the per capita income is 4 lakh, the expectations and the aspirations of people are also much more. So there is a problem about Delhi's basic infrastructure issue, which needs to be attended. So I would say that the real challenge for the Delhi government would be how to find more resources in areas such as civic infrastructure, the local self-government governments to be improved, and of course continuing its focus on health and education, because that is where you have seen Delhi doing exceedingly well in terms of education and infrastructure. And where it has suffered is in basic infrastructure like roads and bridges, and of course in management of the city. For example, the police management, the traffic police management, these are very, very real live issues for Delhi. So for the new chief minister, yes, it will be a challenge to implement the poll promises, but a bigger challenge would be how do you make sure that while maintaining your expenditure for health and education, you provide a little more for making the civic infrastructure more effective and more benefiting of the people who live here.
Mr. Bhattacharya, you're right, because bureaucrats in different states have been flagging concerns around some of these populist schemes and where the money will come from. It's not just a question about Delhi, it's a question about other states as well. Sanjeev Srivastava, to get you in at this stage, politically, how do you think this government is going to be judged? What are the main issues where the opposition is likely to corner the government over the next few months?
See, I think this government really will be judged on whether they are able to walk the talk. It's one thing to win an election. They were out of power for more than 25 years, 27 years to be exact. And now they have come on the promise. So there have been a rainbow of promises, but the big picture promise has been that now the Prime Minister will directly take care of the capital. And it will be double engine ki sarkar. So what does this double engine ki sarkar, how will it translate into benefits for Delhi? They keep talking about making it now a world-class capital. Parikshit, you live in Delhi. We all stay in and around Delhi. I travel a lot. Last few years, I have not stayed in Delhi for the pollution months. So from November, Diwali to January, 3 months are unlivable. And then there is this extreme cold and extreme summer. And then there's bad traffic. And then there is complete civic infrastructure, the filth around. So even if these are the basic things that you, except for that few kilometers zone of Lutyens, if you draw a circle of 5 kilometers, maybe from India Gate, that also on one side only largely, that's the part that looks like a beautiful city. But that also, it doesn't breathe like that for 3 months, 4 months in a year. So really, how do you tackle these challenges? Because now you have all the governments in NCR. How do you control pollution? It's a big thing. People are losing years of their lives living in Delhi. So that's the biggest challenge in my opinion. Then to regulate traffic. And of course, the good things which AAP did, or many people agree they did, were health and education, like AKB also said those are the 2 priorities. But I think how to forget making it a world-class capital, how will you make Delhi a more livable, nicer, hospitable place is the big challenge. And let's see whether BJP can deliver on that.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Srivastava and Mr. Bhattacharya. Always a pleasure having you all on CNBC TV 18. We're taking a short break here on the channel, but coming up, McDonald's is betting big on the coffee culture in India. A special conversation with the master franchisee owner of the North and East India business on the other side.